Hi, everyone. It's Jody Schwan from Sioux Falls Business. Welcome to another edition of Talent Thursday. Denise Gazzetta at the Sioux Falls Development Foundation has lined up another terrific conversation. We've got lots to talk about with today's guest, who's very on brand by his background, even if you can't tell quite yet what that is. So, Denise, why don't you go ahead and introduce today's guest?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to introduce Eric Hanson from DSU. He is one of our favorite partners at DSU. DSU, of course, is one of the leading institutions in our nation for cybersecurity and all things computer science related. So welcome, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you much for having me. I'm excited that you guys offered to have me on today. And I just want to thank you once again, Denise, for all the work that you did with the talent tours. And you guys, we were really, really excited about that and excited to keep that going in the future.
Yeah, it's a great partnership. Sioux Falls and Madison, not that far apart. Sometimes it seems like they are, and the Development Foundation's doing a great job of bridging that gap, of course, as is DSU with the increased presence here in Sioux Falls. So, Eric, let's start off. You're somewhat new to your role, but not necessarily new to DSU. So, help us understand a little bit about what that all entails and what's kept you personally at DSU.
Yeah, so I originally started out in admissions. That was my first role here at DSU. Recently moved over to career services to replace Janelle Nielsen, who's retired after about 25 years with us in this role. So we have some big shoes to fill. And part of that is the relationships that they have helped establish with employers, both near in Sioux Falls, Madison area, but also across the country. They have done a great job cultivating relationships with Oak Ridge National Laboratory, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Amazon, big companies, government agencies. A lot of that has been in part, no small part, to our Beacom College of Computer and Cyber Sciences. That accounts for about 60% of our total students, both online and in person. So we have one of the top computer science and cyber operations classes in the world, and really, especially in the country. But we are nationally known. That is our niche. And so we have worked really, this office has worked really hard in the past to establish those connections with employers, especially in the Sioux Falls area, because we have some of the most talented students in the country. We have increased our international population as well. We have almost 200 international students that are here, and that's largely because of our cyber programs. So I was really excited about the opportunity to join this department. So a lot of what we do is helping students prepare for that next step. So we do resume reviews regularly with students. And we actually have a week prior to our career fairs that we have. We have a couple throughout the year. And we have a week prior where we will have employers come to campus and actually do a resume review with students so they can get that practice with professionals. We get a lot of Sioux Falls businesses that come up and help us out with that. And then we also do something called Practice with the Pros, where students will actually get to do a mock interview with these very companies and get feedback. So when they are looking for those internships or those full-time jobs, they have actually practiced with those people that they may in fact be seeking jobs from in the future, and they make those connections. And I think that's what really attracted us to that talent tours was our goal is to take all the hard work that our students do, help them make those connections with those employers, and give them the tools and the resources. We recently started using Hiration, is a chat GPT AI-powered tool where they can get feedback on their resumes and actually do practice interview sessions as well. So we really throw lots of things at our students. Info sessions, we have virtual and in-person ones. So companies will come to campus and set up a classroom presentation. We have donut drop-ins where we will have employers bring donuts and just set it up on a table. And what 18, 19, 20-year-old student does love a donut, free donut in the morning. And all of this is just really about helping them make connections and helping them navigate, because Going from high school to college is scary enough, but you have 4 years and sometimes less where you have to get prepared for that first real world job, and it can be a scary thing. But we try to prepare them as best we can, give them all these opportunities, so that when they do go out and get those jobs, they're comfortable with it. They're not a fresh fish out of water, so to speak.
We just did a story actually for the Development Foundation on a whole family from California that ended up moving here, but it started with DSU and it started with their son, who, out of all the schools he could have gone to, chose to come from Portland at the time to Madison, South Dakota to go to DSU. But Denise, for our high school students to have this literally in, essentially their own backyard is huge. And I think that's been part of your role too, right? And trying to connect all across that pipeline, whether it's a high schooler looking at DSU for college, whether it's a DSU college student looking for a career opportunity in Sioux Falls.
Absolutely. I mean, in Sioux Falls, we're playing the long-term game, right? We're looking at pretty much from the beginning of somebody's educational experience all the way up through their adulthood, right? And into their careers. And really part of that is making sure that they know that we have jobs here. We have plenty of jobs. We have great employers. Our employers are very, very different than I would say, well, I wouldn't say they were different. I'd say what they do is they're very cohesive in our community. They're very community oriented. And so they do a lot of things that talent today wants. And that's where we see a lot of good traction. But Jody, you're right. I mean, we bring kids up from our high schools and we get them into DSU or one of our wonderful colleges, and it really is transformational. And the same thing, we get the business students or the computer science students or the art majors, whomever they may be, we get them down into our business community, and then we kind of see those connections and those interactions, and then just sit there and watch those relationships develop. Because at the end of the day, when you are growing and we are growing and we are growing in a very sustained, viable manner, but we're growing, and so we need talent here. So
Tell me a little bit about the recent collaboration that you had, because you were on campus and organized an event there.
yeah. So we've done a couple things on campus where we brought in the high school students so that they can meet with a lot of the professors, the people that influence them, maybe even some of those associations like the business school and their business association for people, just getting them more kind of ingrained. And one of the things I think a lot of us take for granted is, it's so important when you're choosing a college or you're choosing a home, right? You're going to spend 4 years there. You're going to graduate. Hopefully you're going to come back for those alumni events and all those things. But it's really important to make sure that it's the right fit for you. And so we spend a lot of time doing that. We have kids that they can go anywhere. If we look at our high school, if we look at some of these kids in our Career Connections program, which was started to make sure, we created this program to put more emphasis around kids that are either underserved or representative, but kids that are very bright, very intelligent, academically very strong, but they need to be developed, right? And so that's kind of some of the things that we're talking about here with Eric is making sure we get them on the campus, making sure that we get them sort of immersed into that campus and college life. Some of them have never even been on a college campus, right? So it's their first experience. So.
Yeah, and I think, we can't certainly underplay the value of the DSU investment in Sioux Falls, right? I had a chance to tour Sanford's new virtual care center, which is all about virtual health and innovation, right next to the future DSU applied research building. And, Eric, as you're even working with students, I mean, this is real. It's going up. Construction is underway. What kind of employment opportunities are your students finding in Sioux Falls today, and how do you anticipate that growing going forward?
Yeah, well, that applied research lab, when we got that approved, that was a huge step forward with us because we have students that are used to this area. They like this area. They're well educated, and they fall in love with Sioux Falls. It's a bigger community, but it doesn't feel like it's a big metro like Los Angeles or something like that. It feels like a community that's not going to be overwhelming.
Right.
So Sioux Falls is really like the ideal spot for that applied research lab where our students will be able to work on government contracts and be able to do these things in live where they want to live. So like that's really, really cool. But we have really worked, I think, hard at being very forward thinking, and as have the companies that we are working alongside. They want students who are not going to be able to solve today's problems, but problems that are going to be 2, 3 years down the road.
Mhm.
And our faculty really do an awesome job of that. And it's reflective in when we go to career fairs, it's pretty routine that every employer, all 80 of them, leave with dozens of resumes that they are excited to reach out to. We've had Omnitech, Infotech, other different companies that have left with 20, 30, 40 resumes that they are not just like, oh, it's a resume. They are actually excited about these students and really want them to come and work for them and really fight and claw over each other to try and get to our students. Oak Ridge National Laboratory is another one that comes and they get a huge pile of resumes. And so our students are starting to get recognized for being as talented as they are. And we're up there with, you think of any major college that specializes in technology, MIT, Caltech, all those schools, we're right up there with every single one of them in our standards. And it's just kind of amazing that this hidden gem is in a small town in rural South Dakota. Like, who would have thought that we would have all those things? And it's because our students really, I think, push for these types of research opportunities. They push their boundaries of education. We had students that worked with AI in agriculture, for example. Case New Holland caught wind of it and really put their started backing that project. And now we have grad students who work with the university in Stockholm on collaborations on this very project. So I think just making sure that the businesses, not just in Sioux Falls, certainly, but also abroad, understand how amazing our students are. It has been really at the forefront of what we want to do. And so we really push them to come to our campus, to come to these career fairs, to recruit our students because they are just that good. And Sioux Falls has so many amazing businesses. We just and Denise mentioned it just a minute ago. Citibank and Premier Bank, both were really impressed by our students, and they really want our students to come there, stay local, get paid well. But that applied research lab, I think that that's just going to be the catalyst for even more businesses coming to Sioux Falls and trying to get those students to work there as well. It was really a huge boon for us to get that up and going, and it's really cool to see it finally coming up and being built, and it's becoming a reality very, very soon.
Yeah, well, and this is the reflection of just decades of the state investing in DSU, investing in the mission, and seeing the future when a lot of people didn't, I think. And now it
Mhm.
extends to the communities of Sioux Falls and in Madison, and just a lot of good partnerships making this all happen. But Denise, these students could go so many places with this education. So, what do you say to them as they're considering their opportunities, one, their career opportunities, but also where they live? I mean, you and I have both lived in Washington, D.C. It's great at certain points sometimes, but maybe it's not for everybody, and maybe it's not for your whole life. And pretty soon you're going to be able to do some of that highly secured work here that maybe you would have had to go to the East Coast to do before. But why live in Sioux Falls? What's the message there?
Why live in Sioux Falls? Well, you live in Sioux Falls because you want more out of life, right? Than what you can get in a big city. So big city, and I grew up, I spent 21 years inside the Washington, D.C. sort of metropolitan area. So I'm a product, as are you, Jody, of a large, major metropolitan area. Lot of advantages, but there's also a lot of disadvantages. So let's talk about the advantages here. We have a very safe environment. Our crime is reasonably low. We have good schools. We get involved in our schools. There's lots of community and networking events. I mean, at one point, I think we were up to over 1,000 nonprofits, which when you think about the fact that it's no longer just a career, right? You're no longer looking for a job. You're looking for that whole intersection between community, career, and cause. You find that here in Sioux Falls. And you find it in a place it's not just your employment. You find it within your kids' schools. You find it within the associations that you belong to, right? So it's really that sense of belonging that really is quite different. I will tell you, I used to spend an hour and a half each way traveling. I was on the metro. I felt pretty fortunate, right? Here you can get anywhere within 15, 20 minutes. So you get your life back, you get your time back, you have more control.
Yeah.
And I did talk about the business community earlier, and I do want to make this point because this is so important. When we talk about the Sioux Falls Advantage, we're talking about all of these businesses that are they are competitive. I mean, we have two of the largest two of the largest healthcare providers here inside of our state, right? A lot of opportunities, but what happens is in this environment, they are always cheering for each other. They're always helping each other. You talk about the cross collaboration and things that you need for technology. You think about how you can embed technology to keep things safer, right? That's where a lot of this kind of work begins and sort of just continues to grow. So there's a lot of reasons why to move to Sioux Falls and move to South Dakota. And I just mentioned just a few of them, but I would say if you ever have the opportunity, as did my husband and I, it was now 10 years ago, to drive down, you'll find out pretty quickly that this is the place for you because we made the decision literally it was a weekend. And we were coming both from the East Coast, both out of Minneapolis, where we were with our jobs and our kids and all their things. And we came in here and we were like, this is great. And the business community here is very supportive of each other. So got a lot of opportunity for growth.
Eric, for the business community, if they've been wondering, and many of them have relationships with DSU, but others I could see thinking, I really should get connected because, you've got a vast array of graduates. We hone in on the cyber talent, obviously, because it's so unique, but, there's such a good cross section at DSU. How do you suggest that employers do get connected?
Really, it's coming and we have these info sessions, which we do both in person and virtually. That is the best way. Those donut drop-ins and just getting connected. We can certainly promote your internships, your positions, things like that. But coming to the career fair, coming to these events, getting in front of these students where these students today, a lot of them have their devices in front of their faces and they get inundated with so many things. We see our bulletin boards are full of materials, but when they have that person that comes in, students listen, they value that time. And I think the shout out really needs to go to our faculty. It's not just the Beacon faculty, it's the business faculty, it's the math, science, arts and design. They all really value opportunities for their students. So when businesses are looking to find our students, they're not just going to find 3 people in an office on the other side of campus who are really good at handshake and putting things out on TV screens. We have faculty who really, really push their students to go to events, to seek out these opportunities, and have a lot of support. One of my close friends on campus, he writes probably around 50 letters of recommendation every single year. So the faculty support, and I can't speak for other colleges. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, we're so much better. I'm just saying our faculty really, really support their students, spend every waking hour here, helping them out, but also helping us prepare them for the next level. So, and we have like our FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America Club. They are really proactive in getting businesses to come in. They just had Jordan Van Leer from Premier Bank Card to come in and just talk to their club members. So our clubs and our orgs are really active as well, and they want those opportunities. And so we're always looking to change things up. But we couldn't get all this done if it wasn't for the support from our faculty. but also the kind of praising the businesses within Sioux Falls who really put in the time and the effort to come to campus. And we have a variety of events that can work for every business. We just talked to Capital Services a little bit ago. They haven't been on campus for, I think, 7 years for an info session. And the conversation was, well, you know what, maybe we should get back to campus and do that again. So the people in Sioux Falls really put it on themselves to come here, and because they know they're going to find great students, it's not going to be a waste of their time. And so we really cannot get this done. We are really true minor players in all of this compared to the faculty and to the business leaders in Sioux Falls who really take the initiative and really push for that to provide that for our students.
And Denise, you're a great connector as well. So if businesses
Yes.
want to know, even if, educators want to know, how do I get students more involved? If businesses want to know, how do I get involved? You can make those connections.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that reaches out to me at deniseg@siouxfalls.com, I always make sure that we pay it forward and we make those connections because we do love this community here and it is special.
So parents, if you're watching and you have a student that could benefit, certainly reach out to DSU students. If you're watching, looking for ways to advance your education or find that job, we can help you, and certainly businesses. Reach out to Denise or to Eric to get connected on campus. I know you'll be glad you did. So Eric, thanks for all you and your team do. We certainly benefit as a state and as a business community from that. And Denise, thanks for another great Town Thursday.
Thank you, Jody, too.
All right, thanks
Thank
for
you
watching,
guys so
everybody.
much.